Hello beautiful people, my name is Nnaishi from the Cap City, Pitori Masangini, and welcome to the Grounded and Fearless podcast, the podcast that is just for you. On this show, we are all about spreading love, life, and growth, as well as discussing unpopular truth. If you are new to the show, do the most, subscribe and follow. If you are a returning listener, thank you so much for the love. We really appreciate the support. And without any further ado, let's get straight to the episode. Enjoy. Hello beautiful people, and welcome again to yet another episode of the Grounded and Fearless podcast that is just for you. On the last show we had Ivan Sambo, who's a phenomenal young man, and it was a very informative episode talking about financial literacy, and he was just handing out some nuggets of wisdom, and I really enjoyed the episode. I think it was very informative. I suggest you check it out if you haven't done so, and there was just so much to talk about that we couldn't even fit it into one episode. So maybe you will have him again on the show. Who knows? Only time will tell. Happy Human Rights Day. I hope you guys had a long weekend. I hope you enjoyed it. I don't know what y'all did. If you went camping, bride, I don't know what people do to celebrate Human Rights Day. For me, I was studying, life of a student. There's nothing else that you do but besides studying. And if you were like me and you weren't really sure what Human Rights Day is about, I googled it, and it just says it's just to remind South Africans about the sacrifices that accompanied the struggle for the attainment of democracy in South Africa. Basically, if you're in South Africa, you know the history of apartheid and everything, the Sharpeville massacre, the June 16 march with the students. So yeah, that is basically all kind of summed up in Human Rights Day. And yeah, today's episode is about relationships. Yes, not mjolo per se, not necessarily just romantic relationships, but relationships in general. And the title of today's one-man show is Relationships as a House. And this concept of relationships as a house was introduced by New York Times best-selling author Dr. John Gottman in his book, The 7 Principles of Making Marriage Work. But on today's episode, we are not primarily talking about like romantic relationships, as I said before. It's just relationships in general, and I'm just going to be sharing how I view my relationships using this analogy, because I really think it's like the best way you can describe relationships. Like, big ups to him for coming up with it. It just connects all the dots for me. And I'd say for me, the connection kind of began from the saying when they say love is the foundation of relationships. And it makes sense, because also in his book he talks about love being the first level of the relationships, like the first floor. In the book they use flow. So yeah, basically the deeper the foundation, the stronger the house. So basically the deeper the love, the stronger the relationship. And for me, I really love love. I never stop believing in it, and my understanding is if I'm a Christian, then I cannot say I don't believe in love anymore. So yeah, and that is in society now, there's the whole "but I'll hurt her, they'll hurt you" thing trending and stuff like that. Despite all of that, your boy still believes in love, because if you believe in God, you cannot believe in love. You cannot say you don't believe in love. I'm sorry, I mistake there. And this is simply because God is love, number one, kind of an obvious one. And also the gospel of Jesus Christ is about love. Jesus Christ went to the cross because he loved the Father and he loved us. That is Christianity. It's about love. And one of the commandments, the commandment Jesus gave us, was to love ourselves, love our neighbors as we love ourselves, love God with all our heart. So love is important in Christianity. So that's why I feel like I cannot believe in God and not believe in love. Those two are like an oxymoron kind of thing, doesn't make sense if someone says that. But I'm not judging, I'm just saying that's how I interpret the whole situation. And yeah, so love is important in relationships. And going back to the saying of it being the foundation, and I want to paint this picture of a house using the concept introduced from the book. And yeah, so love, it is the foundation of any relationships. And without love, the house can be shaky, but it can still be built. And I say this simply because the whole concept of marrying someone for love is actually like a new concept in some way. It's not an old concept. It's like 18th, 19th century vibes. So in the olden days, you never really married someone because you loved them. You'd get married because your families thought they were the right marriage partner for you, and then they arranged everything, and the relationships worked. Don't quote me on that because I wasn't there, obviously. So in my understanding, I feel like they worked because we are here now. There's our generations and stuff like that. So I think they worked to some degree. Obviously not saying they were perfect or anything, but I believe that they worked, even though you were not married to someone primarily because you loved them. So I understand that. And with love being the foundation of your relationships, I think it's just a cherry on top. It just creates that warm feeling and that ambience of love. And love is a lot. I feel like I could be talking the whole episode just about love. Maybe I might just make another episode just speaking about love. I don't know. Just stay tuned and find out, basically. But that is enough about love. But importantly, I think we need to define love for ourselves, because it's such a broad concept and it's different for each and every one of us. So I always encourage people to have that definition of love, so that you kind of know what you're searching for, that should you be in a relationship, you know what love kind of means to you, that you can identify when something is not love, or you do not just accept things that random things or situations, because your definition for love is vague. So you must be able to identify, this for me is not cutting it and this is cutting it. So you kind of have that mind map, the map of love, as the author says. And so that is enough about love. And so with love being so important, I must say that love alone is not enough for relationships, and I think we all know the same. And it's not a new concept that love alone is not enough. But don't get me wrong here. The love of God is not the same as the love that we have for each other as humans. The love of God is on a whole new level, it's on its own level. So the love God has for us is not the same as the love that we have for each other. God's love is enough for us, but the love that we have as humans is a different kind of love. I think God's love is like agape love, so that's love above all else. Love, that's the love, So if someone says I love you with agape love, they are lying. There's no way. They're basically trying to say they are God, and that's a sin. Wow, okay, let's move on. But basically, love is not enough. You cannot just live in a house that's just the foundation. Actually, there is no house, it's just the foundation. You cannot live in a house like that, and that's why I say love is not enough. And another base that I'm basing my argument on is the fact that love is a new concept, not new but relatively new. That relationships in the past that worked without love, so if they could make them work without it then why do we think that it's going to be enough today? So think about that for a minute. As I said, don't quote me on the fact that they worked. I wasn't there, but I just kind of have the idea that they did to some degree. And to give examples of why love is not enough, we want to go back to the idea of relationships as a house. So love is the foundation. We cannot live in a house that is just the foundation. We need more, right? And that, in that sense, when I say we need more, I mean we need walls, we need a roof, we need windows, we need doors, we need furniture. Basic household goods. And that is how a relationship works. That is how a relationship is to me. So to give you examples and put it into context, trust will be the walls of the house. Honesty and transparency will be like the windows. Loyalty will be the roof. The trust protects what's inside. The trust protects the vulnerable parts of the house, basically. And then the memories will make the decorations, the pictures in the house, the ambience feeling. When you think of memories, you feel a certain way. You feel joy, you feel, happiness. And decorations can bring that vibe into a place, into a room. So memories will do that. And another reason I like this analogy is that the goal is not to build a house. Because you can build a house and then now you have this house. Does that mean you stop working on the relationship? No. And it doesn't mean you stop working on the house? No. And that's how relationships are. They require continuous working. And the next thing is, once you have this house that you've both been building, you need to turn the house into a home, and that is a lifelong commitment. And relationships require commitment because things will break, and you need to take care of them. But you need to create a home. You need to nurture the house. You need to paint it. Paint will rust, paint will fade. Repaint it. Glasses will break. Windows will crack. But you just need to continuously take care of the relationship. Take care of the house. There will be storms that will shake the house and break some stuff. But then that's where the lifelong commitment comes in, and we gradually work on the relationship and continue to turn our house into a home. Because making a house a home is not something you do once and then you stop. It's a continuous process, and that's why I just love this analogy of a relationship being a house, that we need to turn it into a lifelong. We need to turn it into a home, because homes are lifelong commitments that we take upon. And yes, this picture of a relationship being a house is all beautiful. Just think about it. The mansion you want, and you are a person or people you are in the relationship with, and as I said, could be friends, colleagues. Both of you need to show up to the party. Both of you need to carry a weight. Number one, because building a house is a big project, and so are relationships. So that's why you need the collective to work on the relationship, because it's a big project, and you shouldn't carry the load alone. I'm just going to define relationship from Google. The best one that I found, because there's more than one, is the way in which two or more people or things are connected. The state of being connected, basically, or the state of being connected. If relationship is a state of being connected needs more than one party. So relationships and houses need both or all involved parties to do their part and take part. And now here comes the kicker. If you work on a house that is so beautiful, that you have loved and cherished so much, do not be afraid to move out of the house. And that comes in when you feel like you are the only one who is working on the relationship. It's okay to move out. I think no one likes moving out. It's a hassle. You have to start again. But sometimes staying causes more damage than moving out and bringing change into your life. So with that said, do not be afraid to move out. It is okay to move out. Sometimes the houses were built, we were not meant to live in forever, and we were meant for greater things. In life we grow, and we kind of sometimes outgrow the houses we built. So yeah, and that is my analogy of relationships that I like to think about from the book that I mentioned in the beginning. And I hope it paints a picture as well to you guys. Because me being an extrovert, I value my relationships, because that is where I get my energy, and being around those that I love and people energizes me, brings life to me, and I love that, and that is why I value my relationship. But I'm not saying they are perfect, but I try my best to work at them, and sometimes I get it completely wrong and I don't do such a great job. But that is why there's more than one party, that they can show up when I fail, and we can continue fighting and continue pushing through with the project of building a house and then turning it into a home. I hope this one-man show really helped you and made you think of your relationships in a different way. For me, this analogy is something that I've gotten and never forgotten. Yeah, you see what I did there. But yeah, that is today's one-man show. Think of your relationships as a house and value your relationships. And I know some people might be like, no, I'm not a people's person. But even if you are not a people's person, relationships matter to you as a human being, because human beings, we were made to live in community. We were made from relationships. Relationship was there before us. The Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit let us make man in our image. And the most, what's the word? They're like the hardest, most difficult punishment, or I don't know what you want to call it, but you could give to a man or human being is to keep them in solitary confinement. That's why in prison, like the hardcore criminals or those who are like troublesome, they usually keep them in solitary confinement because like it is intense. Being alone is not what we were made for. So yeah, take that with you into the rest of the year and continue working on those relationships. Continue fixing the broken glass here and there, sweeping the house, touching base. Hey friend, how you doing? I haven't heard from you in a long time. You want to grab a quick coffee? Hey, how are you doing? How's school? And stuff like that. That is touching base and just caring for your house. And yes, we've come to the question of the day section of the show, because it's a one-man show, and the question of the day that I have is something I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, and that is, we all need to define love for ourselves. So what is your definition of love? Like, what does love mean to you? So yeah, head over to our Instagram account on our stories, react to that one, give us your definition. If you're on Spotify, check out the question on your Spotify account when you listen to the episode and give us a response, and let's see what your definition of love is. And beautiful people, that is it from me. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and thank you for tuning in. Stay safe. God bless you. I love you. And with that, we have reached the end of our episode. Thank you so much for tuning in and being part of the show today. Please don't forget to subscribe and follow, and also leave a review, as this helps us improve the show, and we are then able to deliver better content for you to listen to and enjoy. And so until we meet again, adios.